Hey everyone! Welcome back to EasyTalk English. Wherever you're listening from today, maybe your room, your car, a quiet cafe, or even while walking outside, we're really happy you're here with us. Before we start, take a small look around you. How does the weather feel today where you are?
That's a good question. And here's another one for you. Have you noticed the weather changing in the past few years? Does summer feel hotter than before? Do winters feel shorter or less cold?
Maybe you felt it but didn't talk about it. Maybe you thought, yes, it's hotter, but you didn't know how to explain it in English.
And when you hear the words climate change, what do you feel? For many people, it sounds big, it sounds political, it sounds complicated.
Yes, it can feel heavy, like something only scientists or politicians talk about. Something full of difficult words and long explanations.
And because of that, many English learners avoid this topic. Not because they don't care, but because they feel they don't have the right vocabulary.
You might think, my English is not good enough to talk about climate change. Or maybe, I don't know the scientific terms.
But here's the truth. You don't need difficult science words to talk about climate change.
You don't need to explain the atmosphere in detail. You don't need advanced vocabulary. You just need simple, clear English.
Because at the end of the day, climate change is not only a scientific topic. It's about daily life. It's about heat, rain, food prices, air quality, and how we feel about the future.
And those are things we can describe in simple language. Words like hot, storm, flood, pollution, worry, and change.
So if this topic feels big and scary, that's normal. Many people feel that way.
But today, we're going to make it smaller, simpler, more human.
We'll talk about climate change in everyday English. The kind of English you can use in normal conversation with friends, classmates, or coworkers.
No pressure, no complicated terms, just calm, real discussion.
So stay with us. By the end of this episode, this big topic won't feel so big anymore.
It will feel like something you can understand, talk about, and maybe even act on.
Let's begin.
All right, let's make this topic simple. First, we need to understand one word, climate. Climate is not the weather today. Climate is the weather over many years.
Yes, that's a very important difference. Weather is what happens today. For example, today is sunny, or today is rainy. That's weather.
But climate is the pattern of weather over a long time. It's what a place is usually like over 10, 20, or even 50 years.
So if a country usually has cold winters and warm summers for many years, that's its climate.
Now, climate change means that these long-term patterns are changing, not just one hot day, not just one big storm, but a long-term change.
For example, summers are getting hotter in many places. Not just one summer, but many summers in a row.
We also see stronger storms, storms that bring more wind and more rain than before.
And in some countries, there are more floods. Heavy rain falls in a short time, and the water cannot disappear quickly.
Another sign is melting ice. Ice in very cold places, like the Arctic, is slowly melting because temperatures are rising.
So let's compare again to make it very clear. Weather is today. Climate is many years.
If today is hot, that's weather. But if every year feels hotter than before, that may be climate change.
I remember when I was younger, summers felt warm, but not extreme. Now sometimes it feels like the heat lasts longer and feels stronger.
Yes, I've noticed that too. Even small things, like needing air conditioning more often, can show a change over time.
And this is important. We don't need scientific language to describe this. We can say simple things like, it feels hotter than before.
Or, storms seem stronger now. Or, there are more floods in my area. These are clear, everyday sentences.
Big global issues can be explained with small, clear words. You don't need to say atmospheric carbon concentration to talk about climate change. You can say, the weather is changing, temperatures are rising, or the ice is melting. Simple and understandable.
When you break it down like this, the topic feels less scary. It becomes something we can talk about calmly.
And that's the goal today, to show you that even a big global topic can be discussed in simple English.
Because when you can explain something clearly in simple words, you truly understand it.
And when you understand it, you can speak about it with more confidence. Now let's talk about the next big question. Why is climate change happening? We'll keep this very simple, no difficult science words.
Yes, just clear and everyday English. One main reason is pollution. Pollution means dirty air, dirty water, and dirty land.
A lot of pollution comes from burning fuel. Fuel is what cars, trucks, planes, and factories use to produce energy.
When we burn fuel, it creates smoke and gases. These gases go into the air.
In simple words, we produce too much smoke, and that smoke stays in the atmosphere.
Another reason is that we use too much energy. We use electricity all day for lights, air conditioning, computers, and machines.
Energy itself is not bad, but when energy comes from burning coal or oil, it creates more pollution.
There's also another problem, cutting down trees. Trees are very important for the planet.
Yes, trees help clean the air. They take in harmful gases and give us oxygen.
But when we cut down too many trees, the planet loses this natural protection.
Now, let's explain something called the greenhouse effect, but in a very simple way.
Imagine the Earth is inside a big glass house. A greenhouse keeps plants warm.
Some gases in the air act like the glass of that house. They trap heat from the sun.
A little heat is good. Without it, the Earth would be too cold.
But when there is too much pollution, there are too many of these gases. They trap too much heat.
So the Earth slowly becomes warmer. Not in one day, but over many years.
When I first learned about this, I didn't think much about it. It felt like something far away from my life.
Same here. Honestly, I didn't think about this before. I just lived my daily life without asking where my energy came from.
But then I realized something important. Climate change is not caused by one big action.
It's caused by many small daily actions. Driving cars every day, using plastic, leaving lights on, wasting energy.
One action alone is small, but millions of people doing the same thing every day creates a big effect.
So climate change is not only about governments and big companies. It's also about how we live.
And again, we don't need complicated vocabulary to explain this.
We can say simple things like, we burn too much fuel, or we use too much energy, or we cut down too many trees.
When you use clear and simple language, people understand you more easily.
And when people understand, real conversations can begin.
Now, let's bring this topic closer to home. Climate change is not just something you see on the news. It affects daily life in small but real ways.
Yes, and sometimes we don't connect the dots. For example, food prices. Have you noticed that food is getting more expensive?
Exactly. When there are droughts or floods, farmers lose crops. If farms produce less food, prices go up.
So when we pay more for vegetables or rice, it can be connected to extreme weather.
Another example is hotter cities. Many cities feel much warmer than before.
Last summer felt like an oven. I remember walking outside and feeling tired after just 10 minutes.
Yes, and when cities get hotter, people use more air conditioning. That increases energy use, which can create more pollution.
It becomes a cycle. Hot weather leads to more energy use, and more energy use can lead to more warming.
Air quality is also a big issue. In some cities, the air feels heavy or dirty.
When air quality is bad, people have breathing problems. Children and older people can get sick more easily.
Heat can also affect health. Very hot weather can cause headaches, dehydration, and serious health risks.
And it's not only physical health. There's also something called eco-anxiety.
Eco-anxiety means feeling worried or stressed about the environment and the future.
I think many young people feel this. They read news about climate change and feel afraid about what will happen next.
Yes, sometimes the topic feels overwhelming. It sounds too big, too global.
But when we talk about it calmly and clearly, it becomes less scary.
Climate change is not just melting ice in faraway places, it's higher food prices, hotter streets, and poor air quality.
It touches normal life, the weather you feel, the air you breathe, the food you buy.
That's why it's important to understand it in simple words.
When we understand how it affects daily life, we can talk about it more naturally.
And when we talk about it, we feel more informed and less powerless.
Exactly. Big problems feel smaller when we can describe them clearly.
Now, let's make this practical. How can you talk about climate change in a normal conversation without sounding too technical or too serious?
Yes, because many learners understand the topic, but they don't know what to say. So let's start with some simple and natural sentences.
You can begin with something easy like, I've noticed the weather is changing. That sentence is calm and personal.
Or you can say, summers feel hotter than before. That's very clear and based on your own experience.
If you want to express emotion, you can say, I'm worried about the future. It's honest and simple.
And if you want to talk about solutions, you can say, we should reduce plastic use, or we should save more energy.
Notice how these sentences are not complicated. You don't need difficult science vocabulary to have a meaningful conversation.
Now let's talk about something important. Climate change can be a sensitive topic. People may have different opinions.
Yes, and you don't need to argue. You can respond calmly. For example, I see your point.
Or, that's interesting. That shows you are listening, even if you don't fully agree.
If you feel unsure, you can say, I'm not sure, but I think we need to be more careful. That sounds polite and thoughtful.
Let's imagine a short dialogue. Linda, you start.
Okay, have you noticed how hot it's been lately?
Yes, I've noticed that too. Summers feel hotter than before.
I'm a little worried about the future, especially for children.
I understand. I think we should reduce plastic use and save more energy.
See? That's a normal conversation. Calm, respectful, and simple.
The key insight here is this. You don't need to win a debate. You just need to express your thoughts clearly.
Simple English can carry deep meaning.
And when you speak calmly, people are more likely to listen.
So don't be afraid of this topic. With a few simple sentences, you can join the conversation confidently. Now, let's move from worry to action. Climate change can feel big and heavy, but small actions can make a real difference.
Yes, and I think this is important. When we only talk about problems, we feel powerless. But when we talk about actions, we feel more hopeful.
So let's start simple. One small action is saving energy. You can turn off lights when you leave a room.
You can also unplug devices when you're not using them. Even small habits like that help reduce energy use.
Another easy action is using less plastic. For example, bring your own shopping bag instead of taking a plastic one.
Yes, and I started using a reusable bottle last year. Before, I bought plastic water bottles almost every day.
That's a great example. One reusable bottle can reduce hundreds of plastic bottles in a year.
At first, I didn't think it mattered, but then I realized if many people do the same thing, it creates a big impact.
Recycling is another action. Separating paper, plastic, and glass helps reduce waste.
And walking or biking more is also helpful. If the distance is short, you don't always need to drive.
Eating less meat is something many people are trying too. Meat production uses a lot of water and energy.
You don't need to change everything at once. Even choosing 1 or 2 days a week to eat less meat can help.
The important insight here is this. Climate change is not only about big policies, it's also about daily habits.
Small actions repeated by many people create change. One person alone feels small, but millions of people together are powerful.
And when you talk about these actions in English, you can say simple things like, I try to save energy, or I use a reusable bottle.
Or, I'm trying to reduce plastic use. These are natural, real-life sentences.
When we connect language with action, English becomes part of real life.
And that's what we want, not just vocabulary, but meaningful communication.
All right, let's gently wrap everything up. Today, we talked about climate change in simple, everyday English.
First, we explained the difference between weather and climate. Weather is today, climate is the pattern over many years.
Then we talked about the causes: pollution, burning fuel, cutting down trees, and using too much energy.
We also connected it to daily life, hotter cities, higher food prices, air quality problems, and even eco-anxiety.
And finally, we discussed small actions we can take: saving energy, using less plastic, recycling, walking more, and eating less meat.
The important thing is this: climate change is not only a big global topic, it touches normal life.
And you don't need complicated vocabulary to talk about it. Simple words are enough.
Now, we'd love to ask you 2 reflection questions. Have you noticed climate change in your country?
And what small change can you make this week? Maybe bring a reusable bag, turn off lights more often, or reduce plastic use.
You can write one simple sentence in English in the comments. Something like, "Summers feel hotter in my country," or "I want to save more energy."
If this topic matters to you, give this episode a like. It helps more people join calm and meaningful conversations.
And subscribe to EasyTalk English if you want to practice real-life English topics in a relaxed and clear way.
We believe English is not just grammar, it's a way to understand the world.
Stay calm, stay hopeful, and keep learning step by step.
We'll see you in the next episode.